I'm going to go on a family trip with my parents from now on. And I'm using your black card, just so you know. When I got home, my husband, Jason, was nowhere to be found. It was odd that he wasn't there, and as I wondered about it, my gaze fell on a note on the living room table with that message. Jason had quit his job 6 months ago and now was neither working nor seeking employment. Just staying at home. He had quite a hard time at his last job because he couldn't get along with his boss and had difficulty getting work done. So, I thought it was understandable that he hadn't found a new job yet. But what did he mean by using a card from my wallet? I contacted Jason with my smartphone. He answered the phone with a laugh, proud of himself, but I said, "Hello? Jason? What black card? I don't have anything like that, you know?" "Huh? You don't have a black card?" "My name is Cindy Owen. I'm turning 35 on my birthday this year. Not to boast, but I graduated from a well-known university and landed a job at a major corporation that everyone knows. My husband, Jason, is also an alumnus of the same university. Jason also worked for a fairly large company after graduating. But he quit 6 months ago due to trouble with his boss. He still hasn't found his next job and hasn't been re-employed since he quit half a year ago. He barely makes an effort in job hunting and spends his days idly. Occasionally, Jason helps with housework and acts as if he has become a stay-at-home husband, even if he doesn't do much. "Hey, Cindy. I took out the trash for you." I was busy preparing dinner when Jason reported in with a proud face, as usual. "Aw, thank you, Jason. That helps." I made sure to at least thank him. Since quitting his job, Jason started to help around the house. However, most of the time, he doesn't take it seriously, like leaving dishes still dirty or soapy. Just now, as I went to the trash collection spot, I found that Jason had put out the trash on the wrong day. It was the day for combustible trash, but Jason had put out non-combustible trash instead. Before receiving any complaints, I needed to rush and bring the trash back, then put it out again on the correct day. Frankly, this just made more work for me. I've explained it to Jason multiple times, but he doesn't seem to learn. Lately, I've gotten tired of repeatedly pointing out the same thing and have stopped saying anything. And Jason seems to believe he's doing a good job with the household tasks. Man, I'm cut out to be a house husband, aren't I? Well, maybe you are. I nodded, exasperated, knowing it was pointless to say anything. And then, Jason would boast about his domestic skills to others. One day, when we were out together, Jason caught up with some neighborhood housewives and said, "You know, Cindy is good at her job but hopeless with house stuff. That's why I do most of the chores. It's tough, you know." "Really? That's tough. Your wife sounds terrible." The housewives responded with astonishment. I clenched my fists in frustration, having to listen to that conversation. Who is the terrible one here? After returning home, I couldn't hold back my anger and confronted Jason. "Hey, Jason. Why did you lie about doing all the housework?" "Huh? A lie? When did I lie?" Jason looked genuinely surprised, as if he had forgotten the blatant lie he told. His irresponsibility was so shocking that it took me by surprise. "Jason, go back and tell the neighbors the truth about the housework, that it's not like I'm neglecting it, okay?" "What? What's that about? If that's the case, then I'm being made out to be the bad guy who's all talk." Saying so, Jason suddenly became grumpy, stomped his way to his room, and disappeared. It wasn't as if he was merely boasting, he was lying. Despite the self-inflicted nature of his situation, It was puzzling why he would react so angrily and sulkily. The next day, Jason left early in the morning and didn't return all day, only to finally show up in the evening. He came back in a good mood, so perhaps he had told another lie about something to brag to me. With that thought, I felt asking him anything would be futile and decided not to bother. "Hey, Jason. What about your job?" Jason, holding a beer and lounging on the sofa, replied, "Well, actually, Cindy, you're earning enough. We can get by on your income alone, right?" True, we could manage on my income alone. However, when I think about the future, we need to save a bit too. If we had children, they would cost money, so it's better to have some savings. I haven't given up hope of having children. That's why I want Jason to work properly. But he doesn't seem to agree with that idea, and things have remained the same. Every time he has a job interview, Jason complains. The conditions aren't right, and I don't like the interviewer. Whenever we talk about jobs, sometimes he even gets angry. What's with that attitude? You don't understand how much I've struggled. But, Jason, it's been half a year since you quit your job. Isn't it about time to start thinking about getting back to work? What? You think my emotional scars will heal in just half a year? After such exchanges, I felt that whatever I said was in vain. Jason, I spoke too harshly. Sorry, I apologize to ease the tension. It's not like everything at my workplace is going smoothly. There are hard times, and things I need to endure. But if I quit every time things get tough, it would never end. I've been working while enduring these things so far. However, Jason doesn't understand, nor does he try to understand that effort. Sigh, Cindy, you have it good. Blessed with great colleagues and a smooth career. Eh? I don't think I'm that blessed. That's not true. Besides, your family is financially comfortable, right? My parents worked desperately so I could go to college. I struggled with student loan repayments after graduation. I've had a much harder life than you. With that in mind, it wouldn't be so bad to have an easier life from now on. Saying that, Jason looked at me with a defiant attitude. I was at a loss for how to respond, unable to find the right words, as he was so greatly misunderstanding. It's not just Jason who struggles in this world. The difference is simply how much one talks about their struggles or how much they show it. But from his words, it was surprising to realize that Jason wasn't just unsatisfied with my income, he was also expecting support from my family. I remembered how Jason had been unnaturally affable to my parents. I thought he was being considerate, but apparently that wasn't the case. Recently, when my parents visited our home, Jason was endlessly smiling and friendly. So, Jason, how is your job search going? Have you found a new job? It seems like Jason can't find a company that fits his desires with good conditions. Instead of Jason, who just giggled without answering, I responded. Hearing this, my father said, "That's true. It seems that even getting a regular job isn't easy these days." He didn't ask any more questions, but there was no smile on his face. Seeing my father's reaction, Jason said, "I'm sorry for troubling your daughter and for worrying you. I apologize for causing concern." Is that so, Jason? If you feel that way, would you try to find a stable job and get employed as soon as possible? Of course, I will work hard for that. Jason indeed said that to my parents. However, once they left, he returned to his usual self, lying on the sofa and laughing at the TV shows. Hey, Jason. You said you were going to work, right? Yeah, eventually. I'll start working as soon as I find a decent company that appreciates my worth. Oh, by the way. Jason seemed to remember something and was about to continue. At that moment, I had a bad feeling and thought, no way. I wanted to interrupt him, but I held back and listened quietly to what Jason had to say. Without any malice, Jason casually continued his story. You know, your mother-in-law has agreed to send us some money for a while. Well, just until I find my next job. What? Jason, what are you deciding on your own? I was surprised by Jason's words. When did he ask my parents for such a thing? In reality, we could live comfortably on my income alone. I struggled to understand why he would make such a request. Asking my parents for financial help without my consent was something I couldn't forgive. Why are you deciding things on your own? I'm going to call them right away to decline. Hey, there's no need to hurry to decline. Your parents are just trying to be helpful. Plus, you haven't been making an effort with your makeup lately, and you seem stressed. You should try harder to take care of your appearance like you used to when you were younger. I was taken aback and fell silent. Jason, who was saying this, had a belly that was beginning to show himself. I had many things I wanted to argue about, but arguing with my husband wouldn't solve anything. That evening, I called my parents and stopped the arrangement for them to send us money. Jason, who overheard the conversation, seemed a bit disappointed. What the? I thought it would be great to have more money for a comfortable life and increase my allowance. At that moment, when Jason muttered to himself, I understood his true motive. He wanted to use my parents to spend more money on his entertainment. Jason, don't ever do something like this again. I glared at Jason and told him. Jason didn't say anything and just relaxed on the sofa. Then one day, when I returned home, Jason was not there. It was strange that he was not around, and as I looked at the living room table, I found a note. I'm going on a family trip with my parents. And I'm using your black card. I couldn't believe the letter. I had tolerated Jason not working, knowing there was some reason for it, but this was unacceptable. I had patiently put up with Jason feeling satisfied with himself for helping out with the housework for so long. I had also turned a blind eye to his dependence on my income. But Jason's actions showed no gratitude and were outright disrespectful, making me shake with anger. Although I was furious, I was also puzzled. I took my smartphone and called Jason. Jason confidently replied, "We've just arrived at the hotel. I have to make life enjoyable for my parents, who have had a hard time for so long. But rummaging through my wallet without permission is a bit too much, isn't it?" I said to Jason with a voice full of disbelief. "Oh, and one more thing." "What? Is there something else? About the black card?" "I don't have such a thing, you know." "Huh? You don't have a black card?" Jason sounded surprised. Indeed, I didn't have a black card. Yet Jason acted as if he had stolen a card from my wallet. This was wrong. At that moment, I heard Jason scream and rustling sounds over the phone. Yes, Jason had been taken away by the police. My mother-in-law immediately came to apologize. I had no idea that Jason was doing such a terrible thing. "I'm so sorry, Cindy." "No, it's not your fault. Please, there's no need for you to apologize." The wallet Jason had tampered with, thinking it was mine, turned out to belong to someone else whom I had found by chance. I had intended to turn it in at the police box as a lost item and had left it in the living room. Jason found the wallet, saw the black card, and slyly took it out. One would normally notice a mismatch if they simply checked the name on the card. But we were saved by the hotel staff noticing before Jason spent any money. Weren't we? Truly, it was a blessing in disguise. But my son will reflect on this for a while at the police station. Upon learning of this incident, The in-laws seemed surprised and quite dismayed. My parents, having heard such a story, even went so far as to say I should get a divorce. I too had reached my limit with the accumulated grievances and was considering divorce. The mysterious disappearance of money from the wallet had occurred several times before. At first, I did not pay much attention, but upon closer examination, it turned out that Jason needed money for leisure and had been taking it from my wallet. How much would Jason need to depend on me to be satisfied? While claiming to be an unfortunate person, it was discovered that Jason had accumulated debt from gambling activities like casinos. I could no longer protect and support Jason's issues anymore. Mother, I'm sorry. I want to divorce your son. Sigh. I suppose there's no helping it. Thus, I decided to get a divorce. The in-laws were understanding, but Jason himself was reluctant to agree to the divorce. Hey, Jason. If you won't sign the divorce papers, I'll have no choice but to hire a lawyer. What? That would be troublesome. Jason had already spent all his savings and could not afford a lawyer. Finally, the divorce was settled. After the divorce, I went back to my parents' house after a long time. My parents told me to rest, but I deliberately continued to work. My ex-husband, Jason, came to borrow money several times. No? That's tough, Jason. I deliberately took a cold and uninterested attitude. His problems had nothing to do with me anymore. Please, Cindy. I beg you, lend me some money. I refuse. You have no more business here, right? Please go back home. The creation of such debt was a problem Jason himself, with a weak heart, had caused. While Jason wasted time playing without working, I had always worked hard, enduring unpleasant things. Why should I have to take on Jason's debts? Hey, Jason. It's not too late to start now. Why don't you work and pay off the money you borrowed? Cindy. If I could do that, I wouldn't be struggling like this now. Jason, with a troubled look, let out another sigh of defeat. I had listened to many of his complaints before, but I had reached my limit of patience. Jason, have I ever complained to you before? What? Cindy. I don't know what you mean all of a sudden. Unable to contain my anger, I raised my voice, and Jason staggered back with a look of surprise. You said my workplace was blessed right now, didn't you? There's no such thing. I too have had my fair share of struggles. But what can I do by speaking out about it? That's why I didn't say anything. And you? You act as if you're the only one who's unhappy. Ah, Cindy, I'm sorry. I was only thinking of myself. So please, just this time, could you lend me the money? Cindy Owen, what? Jason, are you still saying that? Are you even listening to me? Please, don't make me repeat myself. Moreover, I'm no longer your wife or anything to you. I have no obligation to help you. I let out all the emotions I had been holding back towards Jason. And then, I realized something. More than the fact that Jason was using cards and money dishonestly. It was his weakness and self-centered attitude. The belief that he alone was unhappy, that I couldn't bear. Everyone faces hardships in life. However, I simply couldn't forgive the attitude of believing that one is the only person suffering and denying the struggles of others. I understand that you've had your fair share of difficulties, Jason. You've always struggled with social interactions since our student days. But as an adult, you're supposed to endure and keep working. Of course, you can rely on me when things get tough. But that's because we trust each other. If it's just you relying on me all the time, I get worn out too. I think I have reached my limit. Jason was no longer the husband I loved, but a being who depended solely on me. If our marriage had continued, I would have inevitably reached my breaking point and exhausted myself to the brink of divorce. So, I believe that the timing of our divorce was just right. This is the end. Goodbye, Jason. Take care of yourself. After the divorce, it seems Jason was scrambling to find a job. For the past 6 months, he had not worked and relied on me for everything. So this was his own doing. Although Jason pretended to be actively seeking re-employment, I had long realized that he honestly had no intention of finding a new job. Hey, Cindy. Can I ask you something? Do you know of any companies that are looking for someone through your connections? Huh? I'm not quite sure about that. Companies were hiring. But I had no intention whatsoever of recommending Jason. I couldn't bring myself to introduce someone so unserious and irresponsible about work. Every time he asked about job openings, I declined. But Jason persistently kept calling and asking me. However, Jason tended to brag excessively about his academic background and to look down on interviewers. Additionally, he lacked perseverance and often gave up too quickly. Despite his character, when he worked, he constantly complained and boasted. I just listened silently and let it pass. So, I assumed he would give up on this job search very quickly as well. I was rejected again. Where is there a company that will hire me? Jason whined like this and tried to rely on his parents. But his father would not allow it and instead scolded him. Hey, Jason. You're an adult. It's time to stop relying on others. Damn it. Don't say that, Dad. I can't get hired anywhere, and I have nowhere to go. Instead of trying to depend on us so easily, why don't you just work, anything will do, and get yourself an apartment? After such exchanges, Jason could not get forgiveness from his parents and was excluded from their home. Eventually, he did not secure a full-time position and is still hopping from job to job. He spends more time looking for work than actually working. One day, I received a call from someone I didn't know. It turned out that this person was involved in the card incident with Jason. I'm sorry for my husband's rude behavior. Please accept my apologies. No, please don't worry about it. You're not to blame. The caller introduced himself as Patrick O'Connell and said that he had established a company during his college years. He had faced many hardships after starting his company but had also achieved success. I'm grateful that you returned my wallet. As a thank you, I'd like to meet and greet you in person. What do you think? Yes, of course, that's fine. I thought meeting with Patrick might be a good change of pace, so I agreed to the appointment. On the day, I put a little extra effort into my makeup, wanting to make a good impression on someone I was meeting for the first time. Patrick had arrived early and was waiting. His tidy appearance and stylish clothes made it immediately clear that he was Patrick. You must be Patrick, right? Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm Cindy Owen. Ah, hello. Nice to meet you too. I'm glad we could meet. His warm smile gave me a sense of relief. I had the impression that he must be competent at his work. Patrick was nothing like my ex-husband Jason. He was considerate and attentive. As I walked, Cindy Owen matched my pace, and at the cafe, when I went to sit down, she would pull out the chair for me. Her subtle considerations were delightful. While drinking coffee at the cafe, we talked to each other. By the way, how has your husband been getting on since then? Well, it seems he still hasn't been able to find a job. He's just wandering around, working part-time here and there. That must be tough. He's a grown man, yet so troubled. Hearing this, Patrick seemed half in disbelief. If you'd like, We have a cleaning job available at my company. The pay isn't high, and it might be hard to become a full-time employee. But would you consider it? Maybe it's time to straighten out that determination. At your company, Patrick? Are you sure? Yes, I'm serious. Our company is currently short on cleaning staff and we're recruiting. I can't say the conditions are great, and given his difficult personality, it might be hard to be full-time. That's fine. Given Jason's personality, a full-time position is out of the question anyway. While saying this, I smiled wryly. I never imagined that Patrick's company would offer Jason a new job opportunity. I immediately contacted Jason. It seemed he had just quit his job again, but he was quick to jump at the job posting. Really? There's a company that will hire me? Thanks. That's a relief, Cindy. Don't mention it. The conditions aren't great, but if that's all right with you, it's fine. As long as I can pay the water bill, that's enough for now. From Jason's words, I could sense his financial struggles. But I no longer felt any sympathy. I quickly ended the call and looked back at Patrick. Jason said he'll send his resume to your company. Is that so? That's good. I'm happy if I can help both of you. Patrick said this with a gentle smile. Seeing that smile, I was a little perplexed. Sorry to ask, but Patrick, why are you being so kind? Maybe it's because I feel some kind of connection. Plus, the two of you happen to be my juniors from university. Really? We graduated from the same university? Yes, surprised? But let's value these chance encounters. I think it's good to cherish such connections. Patrick said, there is an ulterior motive, with a mischievous smile. I couldn't help but smile and let out a laugh. He was funny and good at joking. And as we talked about hobbies and how we spend our weekends, we were surprised to find we had a lot in common. Time spent with Patrick was fun, and it allowed me to remember my hobbies in time. And then I thought, during my relationship with Jason, I had suppressed my hobbies to match his. That's why I had almost forgotten what I enjoyed over the long term. But with Patrick, I realized I could reclaim the hobbies and joy I had lost. I felt as if happy times had returned. Indeed, lately, I had been so angry with Jason all the time, irritated. And perhaps I had forgotten the simple pleasure of enjoying time. Months passed, and as part of my job, I visited Patrick's company. I accidentally noticed a man resting against a wall, and it was Jason taking a break. The company didn't seem large, and the physical work seemed tough for him. When Jason noticed me, he stepped away from the wall and spoke to me. Hey, Cindy. What are you doing here? I just happened to be here for work. How are you doing? Well, you seem to be getting by. However, it seems that Jason hasn't given up on his ambition to become a full-time employee at a major corporation. Hey, Cindy, what do you say we give it another go? I'll consider it once you become a full-time employee. Of course, but living alone is tough. I don't want to bother with cleaning the house. And all I eat is microwave food. Jason was supposed to have said something that belittled the work of a housewife before. Yet, here he was, complaining again. More than anything, his words felt devoid of any affection towards me. It seemed like Jason was just using me, only thinking about how to make his own life more comfortable. I felt his love had completely faded again, and I distanced myself from him. I have to go now, I'm out of time. Eh? Hey, Cindy. Wait. As he said this, I could tell Jason was approaching, so I quickly left the scene. At that moment, I heard another set of footsteps approaching me. Hello? Is there a problem? Shoot, the boss. The boss is here. Jason was startled to see Patrick. I took the chance to get away from Jason while he was taken aback. Then Patrick casually stepped in front of me, as if to shield me. "We can't have squabbles here. Please avoid causing a disturbance in the office." "Yes, sorry. I'll be careful." Jason nodded but looked back at me with a lingering gaze full of regret. Patrick also looked at me and smiled. Then, he clearly said to Jason, "Actually, I am dating Cindy." "What? You're kidding, right?" Jason's face twisted with surprise. I, too, was taken aback by Patrick's unexpected confession. I had never anticipated such a development. My relationship with Patrick continued through work. Occasionally, he invited me out for meals, and we spent time together privately. Gradually, we had been closing the distance between us. Of course, being in our 30s, this was all considered with marriage in mind. "Cindy, you're lying. This is a joke, right?" "It's no joke. It's true. Patrick is serious, unlike someone who would lie. I can't believe it." Cindy and the boss. Jason said this with a mix of surprise and regret on his face, and then he slumped down. "That's the situation. So, goodbye, Jason." With that, I bowed to Jason and left the place. This was the second time I had said farewell to Jason. In my heart, I hoped there wouldn't be a third time, and that I wouldn't have to see his face again. Later, I heard that Jason had resigned from Patrick's company. Whether he had found a path as a full-time employee or was searching for a new job was unknown to me and of no interest. I married Patrick and started a new life. We agreed to continue working as we had been. Financially, we were not in need. However, I loved my work, found it fulfilling, and was proud of it, so I wanted to keep working. Patrick's company was also doing well, with young and energetic staff. "Hey, why did you want to marry me?" One day, I asked Patrick. He answered with a kind smile. "At first, I felt sorry for you. I thought your husband was a terrible person and you were having a hard time. But as I met and talked to you, I realized that Cindy is strong, reliable, and never lets her struggles show." Patrick. "Did you think that about me?" "Thank you. I felt the same way." Patrick was always stern, never losing his smile even in tough times. I was attracted to his strength, and since his character was the complete opposite of Jason's, I think that made me like him even more. Now, I am grateful to have met and married Patrick. Cindy, I look forward to your continued support. Yes. I'm delighted as well. Thank you for your continued support. I blushed with an embarrassed smile. Half a year has passed since I got married, and I have been living happily ever after. And then, I took the first step toward fulfilling my dream of becoming a mother. At the obstetrician's, my pregnancy was confirmed, and I went to receive the proof with nervous excitement. When I got home and told Patrick about the pregnancy, he greeted me with a face full of surprise and joy, saying, "What? Really? I'm 5 weeks pregnant now." I haven't had symptoms like morning sickness yet, but I felt somehow different than usual. That's wonderful. I'm so happy. Thank you, Cindy. I will study various things from now on and do my best to become a good father. I'm counting on that enthusiasm. Patrick hugged me tightly, repeatedly expressing his gratitude and joy. I was a bit surprised by his unexpected delight, but I was happy to share the joy with him. At that moment, I remembered my ex-husband, Jason. Would he have been happy about the pregnancy? And did he have what it takes to be a father? No, it would have been impossible. It was clear that I would have been unhappy if I had stayed with Jason. Since the pregnancy was unexpected, I decided to continue working until just before taking maternity leave. Recently, Patrick has been obsessed with shopping for baby goods. Since the baby's gender is not yet determined, he is preparing a range of cute clothes and essentials for both boys and girls. I'm sure a cute child like Cindy will be born. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I don't know about that. The child will also resemble you, Patrick. I hope that our child will inherit Patrick's honesty and strength in supporting each other, as well as my kindness and compassion. I wish for a child to be born who is as sincere and wonderful as Patrick. I am excited for the unknown journey ahead and happy that I can spend my days filled with such hopeful happiness.